In this video, let's take a look at how we can do some problem solving if you're using the VDI Lab, the VMware virtual remote desktop, in which you're remotely controlling a Windows desktop. And let's say the device that you're using to control that Windows desktop does not have a mouse with a right button, and you need to do things like right click, or you need to send other special keyboard commands that are complicated using the device that you're currently working with. So you may be working with an iPad or an Android tablet. It might have primarily a touchscreen interface. Maybe you don't even have a keyboard interface for it, and things are a little bit awkward. Let's see how we can work around some of these issues, and we can do that using something called the on-screen keyboard. And Windows, wherever it is running, locally or remote, has the capability to offer accessibility through an on-screen keyboard. So if I come over here in the VDI and click on the Windows button, so hopefully you can at least do that, and then we start typing KEY, it will find the on-screen keyboard application, and we're going to select that to start the keyboard. And you can resize this so that it doesn't eat too much of your screen real estate, because you're likely going to be wanting to work with some other application that you're manipulating. So let's take a common problem and see if we can solve it here. So here I am in my File Explorer, and I'm looking at a pair of files. And what I would like to do is take both those, and I would like to send them to a zip file. And the most common way to do that would be to right click. Now I'm working on a system that does have a 2-button mouse. If I right click, it will bring up this option here, and I can navigate down this panel and look for the send to option to send these to. Actually, let's grab both these files, and I will right click, and I would like to send those to a compressed or zip folder. Well, that's fine if you've got a 2-button mouse, but how can I first can I select both these files without using special keyboard commands or things I may not have, or mouse commands I may not have on the device I'm using currently? And then how do I right click to get that option? So if I come here and select the first file, one of the things I can do to continue that click is, if I don't have a shift button to physically hold, I can press shift here and click on the second one, and now I have both those files selected. So I have both those files selected. Now I would like to right click and send those files to a zip file. But again, assume I don't have a right button on my mouse. How do I do that? Well, if I come over here to my virtual keyboard and click on the function button, that's a normal left click. We got to at least be able to do that. And then hit Shift and then F10. That is the keyboard equivalent of a right mouse click. So Shift F10 on the virtual keyboard will get it. And now I can come over to Send To and navigate down to a compressed zip folder. And voila, I have now created the zip folder that I need for the particular activity I'm solving. Okay. So let's explore this a little bit, looking at another application where right click and other types of options are commonly needed, and that is Excel. So I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to come down to my Windows Start button, and I will go find Excel, and we'll start Excel. And one thing I might like to do, particularly if I'm choosing separate regions for a graph, I might need to grab some data in this column, and I might also need to grab some data in this column. And how do I grab both? Well, the common way to do that is I would hold the Control key down, or Command key, and then drag my mouse, and I can get both. But there's another way to do it if I don't have that capability, and I can grab the first column. Let's say I want A 1 through 10, and I'd like to get D 1 through 10. And again, if I just come over here and hit Control, in this case, then it's like holding down the Control key, only the virtual keyboard is going to do that for me. And I can drag down here, and now I've selected 2 non-adjacent regions. And I could do that again if I wanted to add yet a third or fourth non-adjacent region, but typically you're only working with 2 at a time. Okay, fine. So now what if I would like to come over here and I would like to have the ability to right click in here to use some features, like that's how I get, let's say that's how I'm planning to get to format cells. If that's how you're used to doing it and you don't have the right click, again, the Shift F10 will, on your virtual keyboard, will do the same as a right click with respect to wherever you're located. So let's say I have some text in here. So there's some text, and I would like to do some formatting in that cell, and I would normally get there through right click. So what did that look like with a regular mouse? Right click, and then I get these options, and I could go to format cells, and I can then use those options from the styling panel to format and arrange those cells the way I would like it to be formatted for alignment, font, border, fill, cell protection, whatever I'm working with, okay? So let's see this done completely with the virtual keyboard. I select the cell I'm looking for. I'm going to turn on my function keys because notice my function keys F1 through F12 are not showing. Now they are. Hit the FN button. So now I can Shift F10 to right click the currently selected cell, Shift F10. Oh, and there it is. And now I can come over to Format Cells, and I can go on with styling that any way I'd like. So let's say I'd like that to be Verdana and make it 10. Okay, great. So now that text is styled as Verdana 10. All right, so I hope that is useful to you. By extension, you can look up the Windows keyboard shortcuts, and once you have started the on-screen keyboard in the VDI, you should be able to simulate just about any combination of mouse or key clicks that you need, even if the device you're working with locally to remotely control this is a more limited device or has a different input, touch screen, mouse, a mouse with only one button, whatever it happens to be. The on-screen keyboard should be your universal problem solver for navigating around that. Best of luck to you.